I'd rather create something that others criticize than create nothing and criticize others.
If you have high quality product behind the bar, it's like weapon.
It's not about the figures, it's about who those figures are.
The Hospopreneurs Podcast.
I'm going to drink this beer.
Yeah, let's crack them.
With James Henderson.
Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Hospopreneurs Podcast. Straight in for a bar brawl before sharing her recent experience with Bacardi Legacy. My guest today, Ella Rhodes, Rookie Bartender of the Year, shares her industry experience, competitions, and how she translates her creative process from art into hospitality. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello and welcome to the show, Ella.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Ella, I like to start the show by asking if you have a crazy hospitality story.
I was thinking about this. I've got a good one actually. It was when I was working in a pub, and a few people know this story actually. But I was working in a pub, and it was pretty sort of run down, and we definitely got a lot of bikies in because they love to put a fair bit of money through the pokies and all of that, as they do. But there was a football match one night and everyone was there watching it, and this massive fight broke out with the bikies and a bunch of other guys, and I ended up getting caught in the middle of it, and I ended up getting like knocked down by a bar stool. A guy like hit me with a bar stool and knocked me out. Yeah.
Knocked you out?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so that was, that happened. Yeah, it was really interesting. I got up, like it wasn't serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had to call like the police and security and all of that. And I've never, been in a situation like that. I was like, I'm claiming it as I got caught in a bar brawl.
Yeah,
but,
you survived a bikie brawl.
I saw the CCTV. It wasn't as heroic as it made out to be. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's about as crazy as it got, really.
That is hectic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Did the people get reprimanded or in any way?
I'm not sure. I think maybe one of them did. I think there was like post-brawl arguments and stuff, and they got taken away in a paddy wagon. But I'm not really sure. Honestly, I was too out of it at the time. I was just sitting there like in shock.
Yeah.
Adrenaline.
Were you unconscious?
Yeah, it was just adrenaline as well. Like I was just like really out of it. I was like, I'm not sure what just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that is an awesome story. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Ella, I want to ask you why you do what you do.
I do what I do because, I did it initially because I liked it more than what I was studying. And
What is it that you're studying?
I was studying games design and animation for 2 years, and then I obviously deferred. I was really liking my job where I was at the pub.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like working this pub and making shitty drinks. I was shaking mojitos and shaking Bloody Marys, and it was horrible. But I was always following the N Bar on Instagram, and I was just like in love with how they made these beautiful drinks and garnishes, and I still follow them and I still can't make the garnishes, but I was just like, oh, that's amazing, I want to do that. And then my boss at the time told me about Rematch.
Yep.
And I'd never heard of Marty or Cobbler or anything like that, and I saw this video of this rematch that happened, and I was like, holy shit, that's cool as well, like this industry, this lifestyle, these drinks, awesome. So I really got into it, and I really wanted to pursue bartending. I do what I do now because obviously you learn a lot, and I got into whiskey, and I learned about like the history and the stories and how things were made, and it really interested me because I see things in a very sort of creative way. So everything that goes into making drinks and making like alcohol and all that sort of stuff is just, blows my mind. I think it's an art of itself.
Yes. So what is it about that really inspires you?
I guess it's just like another art form, really, like for me, and that's exactly what I've done my entire life. It was another way for me to express that. And then, but also, be challenged and learn something new and be put under that sort of pressure, I guess, and it's just a great environment to be in. It's always, it's always new and different and fun, and I was never the type of person that was going to sit at a desk, and go to uni and do exam after exam. Like none of that interested me, that lifestyle,
Although you started on that route.
Yeah, I did. Obviously, you finish school, and some people just know what they want to do, and they'll, go to uni and they'll do that, and some people know what they want to do and they don't go to uni at all or whatever. But I was, 17, and I got my OP, and I got the degree I wanted to get into, and I did it. And I moved out of home when I was 17, so I was doing like I had to work, and then I was like, oh, this is shit. I don't want to do this degree. So I was like, bartending is something I really want to sort of pursue for the next couple of years, I suppose. Here we are.
yeah, absolutely. I really like that it's about creativity and that process of creating.
Totally.
For you, and just really enjoying that. And I can see how that's sort of translated from other things that you do in your interest in game design, and I'll open that a little bit more over the episode.
Sure.
I want to ask you a little bit about the award that you won, which is the Rookie Bartender of the Year. So what was the criteria based on to win that?
I believe so. It's the first round is you get peer voted, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I think they send out all of the the voting. So you vote for best bar, best whiskey bar, all of that sort of stuff, and there's a criteria for rookie. And I believe that you just type in whoever you want, and then obviously there's like a few 10 people with the highest amount of votes. I think, is there a second round of voting? I think there is a second round where it's re-voted, and then obviously that's when it goes to whoever wins. I think the sponsors play a part as well, because every award's sponsored. I think it says the most up-and-coming bartender, under 2 years experience, or under the age of 21, which I both fell into, I suppose.
Did you enter yourself into that?
No, I didn't actually.
No. So it's peer voted.
Yeah, so anyone can vote. I mean, I think you have to work for a bar, but I don't think I even voted this year at anything. Yeah. So I didn't.
So someone was like, Ella Rhodes.
Yeah, I assume
That's
so.
awesome.
I hope so. I mean.
They must have.
I won. So that was pretty cool. I didn't think I would. I didn't even go down for the awards because I assumed I didn't get it the year before, and I was like, oh. It's one of those things, you never think you're going to win. I've never, been like, oh yeah, I've got this in the bag. I was just like, fuck, it's just one of those things.
Well, to become Rookie Bartender of the Year, you obviously have to have some skills that people admire. And
I have skills.
A unique set of skills.
Yes.
How have you learned the skills to make you a well-respected bartender in the industry?
I worked hard, especially in the earlier years. I took in everything from everyone. I was a sponge. I had a lot of, mentors, you could say. Lots of really well-respected bartenders in the industry in Brisbane. I've been lucky enough to work under a lot of them that have also done well for themselves. That was a big thing, just to take in everything, because, every bartender has their own thing. For example, I don't make the best drinks, but, I like to think that, there's a lot of creativity within me that, helps me. But I've learnt off bartenders, that are very, good with flavour, and then very good with presentation and confidence, and, good at balancing things, all of that sort of stuff. So that was the first thing for me, was just listening and learning and watching. People always say read heaps of things. I never really read that much. It's probably where I lack in my classics and all of that sort of stuff. Because I'm very, hands-on learner. I was really bad at reading, as much as I tried, but where it helped me was because of for example, whiskey and all of that, which I've learnt a lot about, was because it was really interesting for me, and I got to sort of get into the history and the stories. So I was able to sort of read that and understand that, because it made more sense to me. But as far as opening a book and reading about, a cocktail that was made 3,000 years ago, not so much. I didn't care for it. But it's good, and I still suggest it, because it's something that you need to know, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make you the best bartender, but you need to get your head around why things are the way they are, where they came from, why we are where we are now.
Yes.
And sort of how drinks are constructed at the end of the day.
Yes.
Why things make sense, why things work with other things, why they are a classic, why alcohol's produced a certain way, that sort of stuff. So.
You've mentioned a couple of times there about story and about this, because it sounds like you're very interested in the story behind the drink as well.
I love it.
So what is it about that you really like, and why do you think people are interested in the story behind a beverage?
I'm one of those people that gets very interested in the story of anything, like a person or, a place, anything like that. And it's
or a game.
Yeah, a game.
Yeah.
It's understanding it. And it's hard to just have something in front of you and be like, that's what it is. You know, there surely has to be a reason why it is the way it is. And again, I don't think very mathematically or anything like that, but I need to know, like, you know, the inspiration and, you know, I guess, again, the creativity, you know, within it. You know, people are so skilled and, you know, interesting, especially in this industry, you know, even chefs and all of that. Like, you need to, I sort of want to get into their mind and know why things are the way they are. And that is the same, like, you know, distilleries, there's just some amount of history behind it. It's insane, you know, like where it all started. And, you know, I guess, yeah, there's lots of different things, you know, down to the weird ghost stories and all that sort of stuff. It's just, yeah, I really like to know why, I guess.
The weird ghost stories?
Weird ghost story.
What do you mean?
Every distillery has a weird ghost story. Yeah. Or a weird story, something.
A weird ghost, like behind a drink or what?
No, I was thinking more so to do with like distilleries or that sort of stuff.
You're very artistic already. What I want to ask next is sort of about that influence that artistic side of you has on how you conduct yourself in the bar. How do you translate those creative assets that you already have into your bartending?
Not well, not easily. My mind is very mixed up, let's just say. I mean, in terms of the bar, day-to-day bar, I don't, I guess. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, I guess you have an eye for detail and all of that sort of stuff, which I like to think I try and bring across to day-to-day bar work. But in terms of like comp drinks and stuff like that, I sit down for hours and I don't even like think about the drink. I think about, like, again, the concept and the reason why. And it takes ages because there's so much going on in my mind creatively that I make like all of these links and sort of try and decipher them into a way that would represent well for a drink, that would make the drink, you know, in its simplicity, be this like massive amount of, you know, mind maps and webs and, you know, ideas that I've thought about and made links to in, like, you know, history and culture and, you know, all of that sort of stuff to sort of, I guess, yeah, be that drink in front of you.
So is that the creative process you take with all of your work? I mean, outside the bar as well?
Yeah, generally.
So what, can you break that down for us and sort of, what is that creative process that you take?
I start with an idea, I guess, like, you know, it always helps if there's some sort of brief, I guess, and it definitely comes through with like what I went to like art school in high school, and then I did art at uni, so it definitely came through with how I learnt to process ideas. You always, you know, the massive, like, the process behind an artwork is the journal before it, and what you always do before creating an artwork is you have these massive concept books, and I find that the most amazing part of like what artists do is all the back of house stuff. So when you look at a painting and you see like a streak on it and that's it, people go, oh, okay, that's pretty shitty. But then you think about all the ideas and stuff that have gone into it, and that's how they're representing all of the ideas in their minds. I guess that's what I've kind of learned. That's how I kind of approach drinks. So I'll sit down and I'll have maybe a brief or, like, you know, an idea, whatever it is I've been given, and I just start fleshing out. I just, you know, one word, one idea, and then I start researching, and then I, you know, flesh that out again, and I research it again. I write more things, I make links. I, like, you know, I go down the rabbit hole when I do comps. I will end up like with pages and pages and pages of rubbish, and then I come back on it and I look at like key words or key ideas, and then I sort of start making like proper links, and then look into the booze and their history and all of that sort of stuff. So it's really hard to explain because I can't really explain it to myself. But
we're talking about a very abstract concept, idea of creativity.
Yes, it is.
And I'm finding it interesting seeing, do you take that approach that you use, so you've used this approach from art, from the art world, and this book, this concept book, do you do that and apply that to bartending? Is that how you, so you've taken your visual art background and applied that into the creative
massively
world?
Yes. It's how I approach everything.
Yes.
In bartending. I've got like this book that I've been using since the very start, and it's almost full, like everything that I think about or learn, it goes into it, and I just really have to keep coming back to it to sort of, you know, understand what's going on, I guess, you know. again, it's not like I can just read a book and remember things. Like I need to,
Need to do.
take a different approach. Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting because on the show we've talked a lot about creativity over the course of the show,
Sure.
and we've talked particularly with bartenders and how they create drinks over many episodes. And what I want to make clear to any listeners is that these processes can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in the bar, it doesn't have to be in the kitchen or a cafe or anything in the hospitality world. You can apply these concepts to any creative thing, and I think
100%.
that everything is inherently creative.
Definitely.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
And these processes,
Yeah.
and it's interesting hearing from different creative people about their processes.
100%. I definitely think for the most part, every person in this industry in particular are creative people. It comes naturally with the job, you become interested in this industry because of that. Whatever aspect of it may be, you will be, somewhat of a creative person. So yeah, I think it's great. Just trying to, have that outlet, I guess, to be that. Yeah.
The next question I want to ask you is just quickly about the competition that you entered recently. What happened with that, and sort of tell us a little bit about your experience with that.
Legacy. I entered last minute, as I always do. I have...
This is the Bacardi Legacy competition.
Yes, I entered last minute because Pete made me.
It's Peter Hollins.
Pete Hollins made me. Honestly, I never thought too much into it. It's never been something... It always happens at the end of like world class and all of that sort of stuff, so I always I do that and then I'm like, oh, I can't do it anymore, I've got nothing more to give. But I did. I was like, I'm going to give this a crack, and I entered, and I got through a couple of rounds. I got through the top 30 and then the top 8, which is cool. I went down to Melbourne and competed against 7 other people. It was really fun. It's a really different sort of comp. It's a lot more simple and a lot more straightforward, which I really, really like. They know exactly what they want. And I don't often work with like a lot of rum, so it was really good to use something that was, a bit different. I'm not used to making rum cocktails or anything like that. So it was slightly a bit of a challenge for me to like sort of work with that.
And with the Bacardi Legacy comp, what do you actually have to do? So what's the task?
So you need to make a drink using one of the Bacardi products. I think it's the three rums. It has to be, the difference with this comp compared to a lot of others where you'll find with lots of other comp drinks, they're quite out there. Comp drinks are never really listed drinks. They're always, hard to prep, a bit obscure, using some weird, bespoke ingredients sourced from the Peruvian coast of, it's stupid. But this is good because it's something, they want drinks that can be replicated. So everything in it has to be pretty much store-bought or, easily found in a bar, which I think is awesome because you're finally using, your knowledge of, what you do every day to make a drink that anyone else can replicate. What I really liked about it was that you sort of had to talk about how you would sort of market your drink, and it's almost like a marketing concept completely, which is really, really interesting. So you talk about how you would take your drink and your idea and push it, in different sort of environments. So mine was sort of a space galaxy related cocktail. I won't go into it too much. It's again rabbit hole, but
just a little bit about it though. We want to.
It's to do with sort of, I guess, progression of sort of everything in mankind, but where rum was discovered, especially with Bacardi, to where we are now. And I mentioned about a dust cloud that was found in the center of the galaxy that had esters that smelt like rum and tasted like raspberries. So I made like a rum and raspberry drink, and I sort of spoke about that in the progression of science, especially to do with alcohol. Like, for example, all books have come out like Liquid Intelligence and that sort of stuff, which has really helped, in the way we make drinks, So it was to do with that, about from, just discovering and, the sailors that would drink rum and travel the world to where we are right now, which is like massively advanced and, using, technology and that sort of stuff to, do that, and the journey of rum along the way. So yeah, it was sort of galaxy themed, but I I wanted to sort of market it and push it with the open air night cinemas and have it, so you'd be drinking that drink under the stars while you were watching the movie and stuff like that. So it was cool. It was a really good idea to think about. You know, when you make drinks, you think about a concept and, you know, how it relates to the brand. But this is kind of that step further where you're less thinking about crazy like ingredients, but rather how the brand would relate to a way you could push a marketing concept, which I found really cool. Really, really cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you take that same process to design that drink as you just described to us earlier?
More or less. I definitely didn't think about it as much just because of the initial, like, you use the one drink for the entire process of the comp. So when you enter the first one, you take that to the 30 and then to the 8 and then to the 3 and so on. This one was definitely slightly different because I was just mucking around in the bar and made it, but then I definitely went back after that, which is one kind of backwards from what I usually do. I usually work forwards and then come up with the drink, but with this one I sort of developed the concept around the drink itself, but I did have that initial idea in mind about the dust cloud and all of that. So yeah, I took the step back and I you know, went researching and finding things that would made it sort of make sense, I guess, you know, sort of push that concept a bit further.
In terms of, so you said researching and finding things out, and even exploring seems to be the general concept of that drink. What are you learning about or exploring right now?
I'm actually going a bit backwards at the moment. My role at Cobbler is to be training all of the staff every fortnight. So what was really good about Cobbler is they really push like learning and education and all of that sort of stuff. So I've been put into the role of being able to do that. So it's good for me because I've actually taken a step back and I'm relearning all the stuff that I kind of skipped over, I guess, a lot in the first couple of years I was bartending. So for me at the moment, I'm going back and I'm reading all about, you know, production of different alcohol and, you know, classics and all that sort of stuff, and really really pushing my mind while I'm teaching, you know, everyone at work. So that's
Back to basics.
it's really cool. Like I guess everything moved really fast for me. Like I only started when I was, I think, 19 or 20, and I'm 22 now, so it was really quick for me and I had to learn a lot really quickly, and a lot of things I did miss out. For example, like, you know, really knowing classics, really knowing, like, you know, how things are made, and I know that I lack a lot of knowledge in that sense, but it's been really cool to sort of go back and learn while others are learning, I guess. Yeah, it's refreshing. It's really, really refreshing, and I think it sort of helps me be a bit more confident within myself when I am doing that, because, yeah, like I said, I always struggled with that sort of aspect and being confident, and especially with presenting, I'm terrible at it. But, you know,
Now you get to regularly.
Yeah, but now like I get to go back, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like I can, you know, there's always time to be able to go back and do that. You know, everyone has their own path, I guess, you know, and how they go about it in this industry, and, you know, I've kind of gone a bit backwards as I do, but yeah.
It's an interesting direction to take there as well. So you mentioned you've been bartending for, you said, since you started 19, 20, and 22 now, 2 or 3 years?
4 years, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in that time, have you seen any innovations take place, or anything that you're doing to innovate?
I mean, you always see a lot of things, like lots of different trends and stuff like that happen. It's all still really new for me. So I guess everything's really interesting and new. I'm not, you know, that versed in the last 10 years of drink culture or anything like that, but I've seen some really cool like activations done, like the Trash Tiki and all that, where they're using old, you know, repurposing old, you know, things in the bar that they can use and ingredients in making things a lot more sort of environmentally friendly and, you know, reusable, I suppose, which is really cool. I've seen a few big pushes on that sort of thing. Bacardi as well. I think 42 Below, they do that Earth comp.
Sustainability.
Sustainability. Yeah,
people are pushing at the moment, and I have noticed that's a bit of a trend.
Which I like. I mean, you know, I'm a hippie at heart, and I really like that. You know, that is part of the bar, because you do see a lot of waste, and it's also like a good challenge to see how you can use things that you wouldn't usually think of. The classics are all there, they're already there, they're done. It's nice to be able to think about things a bit differently, like what can we do that is different. Yeah, there's a few other things I've seen, like just the way bars are changing again. Like, you know, there was a massive thing on, you know, sort of speakeasy style bars, and then they've gone back to like minimal, and then going back again. It's really cool to see, like, you know, other people's sort of design concepts for bars in general.
And where does that, what I'm interested to know is where that comes from. Like, who creates those trends? Are they global trends? Are they Australian
know.
trends? Brisbane trend? Like, and there are listeners from all over the world listening to the show,
Yeah.
and in their city, maybe
Yeah.
they'll be like listeners at home. You'll be thinking about trends that are happening in your city. So,
I mean, it's few and far between. Everything's sort of going on at the same time. There's lots of places that don't really have a cocktail culture at all. And some places, I guess we're all following each other. At the end of the day, it's all just about constantly just doing new things and trying new things. And, I think it could be partially related to, trends in food. And I wouldn't know enough to say that, it's a global thing, everyone's doing the same things. It probably isn't. It's definitely, especially within Australia, we definitely follow different things, the bloody frosé trend and all of that sort of stuff.
it's my my economic mind that wants to understand the market. So
That's definitely not my strong point.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But look, I want to go on to the next
Sure.
question, which is, so over your journey,
Yeah.
what's been your number one resource to help you learn and grow as a hospitality professional?
People, definitely people. Like I said, I'm terrible at reading books. I've always gone and asked people that I essentially trust in the industry, which is a fair few. You'll find pretty much one of them at every single bar around Brisbane. People like Pez and Cam and Marty, Ryan,
Who've all been guests except Ryan on the
yeah,
show.
Booney, like everyone.
Booney?
There's a bunch of them, and exactly right. Like there's a reason they have done so well for themselves, and it's because they understand and they've done it. And so every time that I've been needing to know something or anything like that, or need help, I've always asked for help in comps. I've never been scared of going for help. I've definitely had my fair share of like mental breakdowns over comps and stuff like that. But they're the type of people that have been through it all before as well.
Yes.
So they're the type of people that I'll just go to and ask and constantly ask questions, because for me that's the way I learn. Just ask more and more and more and take it all in. So I think that would probably be my number one. People that actually do it for a living.
What advice do you have for, say, someone who is relatively new to the industry? Maybe they're in a position that you were in, working in the pub, and they're interested in it. What advice do you have for those people?
A big part of it is it's sort of not making yourself known, but being there, being present, talking to people, and figuring out what exactly it is you want to do in the industry. That it's about knuckling down and learning. Be a sponge. Don't be a dickhead. Is a big thing.
Yes.
Just understand that the reason people are where they are, and the people that are trying to mentor you, they're there for a reason, because they've done all of this. So listen, take it in. When they tell you to go read a book, read that book. Do the trainings, go to all of the masterclasses. I used to go to so many. They're fun and they're interesting, and you get to drink the alcohol. It's a really good way to take it all in. You're exactly in the right learning environment. Just be involved in everything. Enter Greenhorn, massively a big one, just to be there in front of people.
So this is a comp in Brisbane.
Yeah.
The Greenhorn comp.
Greenhorn, it's a comp for new bartenders where they get the chance to compete in a sort of an informal situation. So they get to compete next to someone, a partner, and they get judged. But it's just a really, really fun way to put sort of, I guess, the step into the comp world. You might not necessarily want to do comps. It's not about, this industry isn't all about comps, but to get that confidence, which I found a massive help, because again I struggled massively even at uni. So it was a really good way for me to sort of do that and be in front of those people, be like, okay, this is kind of all right. You don't have to speak, you don't have to, not all eyes are on you. So it's a really good way to sort of be in that situation and do well, and you can already put your creativity straight to the test, and people will see you do that, and then it's just about learning.
That advice can be applied anywhere again
Of course.
as well. It doesn't just have to be bartending
not at
or
all.
hospitality. It's anywhere.
Everywhere.
Absorb. Absorb.
You have to be a sponge,
Yeah. Because we're all constantly learning and growing. Ultimately, what is it that you want to do in the industry?
I'm not sure. People always ask me this, you sort of, you go in one of a few directions, whether it be running a bar, managing a bar, owning a bar, being a brand ambassador, or something related to that. I've never sort of think about it. I've always thought about just what I do day to day and what sort of, I'm still taking it all in. I never think that I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm ready to take that next step, because I always want to know more. I have my other side of me where I'm doing pottery. So for me, it'd be really cool to open a space that sort of combines the two, where I could have that, you know, that open sort of, you know, creative space that had, I don't know, something to do with booze. But I mean, that's as far as I've thought about it. You know, it's just about, I'm still, you know, in that stage of, you know, learning things, and, you know, I don't think I'd be the person to run a bar or anything like that, but definitely to have my own space would be really cool. I'm unsure, yeah.
That's okay, we don't have to know. Thanks for the honesty.
No.
Some people, a lot of people like to say they have the answers to all the questions. And
Yeah,
they don't,
no,
so.
I'm one of those people that I need to know, like, I need to be really confident within myself and know everything before I take any large steps. And I guess for me, you know, I'm not ready yet. I want to know more and be, you know, at the bottom still, and, you know, just work. So, and I'm very okay with that, you know, I'm very happily, you know, plodding along. Yeah, you know,
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally fine
Yeah.
to just be learning, which is, you know, what we've talked about over the course of the episode as well.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what's next for you, Ella?
What's next? I'm definitely, you know, very happy here at Cobbler. I guess just to keep helping this business grow, you know, alongside, you know, all of the boys and Marty, especially with our new venue opened. You know, we're just constantly trying to sort of think of new ideas for the bar and all of that, and we work really closely together with that. I think it would just be about, you know, continuing to push that, you know, and our creative ideas, and be involved in the industry and experimenting, I guess. And yeah.
That's awesome. And thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll wrap it up there, and looking forward to seeing what's to come.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Stay in touch with the show after hours at Hospopreneurs on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Do you know a hospopreneur? Shoot us an email, hospopreneurs@gmail.com. Creativity and innovation in hospitality. The Hospopreneurs Podcast with James Henderson.